What's going on, Average Tech Guy here, and today we are back. More tech, more reviews, and I'm so excited because I've been using the brand new Google Pixel Fold for about a week now. And today, we're gonna talk about it. So let's go. All right, so first and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and get all the boring stuff out of the way. You can pick this device up for about $1,700, which I feel is, number one, overpriced for it, and we'll talk about it a little later on. It only comes in two colors. That's a porcelain color and this color that I have right here in front of us, which is going to be your obsidian. It's basically a blackish, grayish color. It comes with a 24-hour battery. That's what Google says. It has 12 gigs of RAM on board, has a 48 megapixel camera, like 9 megapixel camera on the front, and on the inside when you open it up has an 8 megapixel camera. It goes up to like 20 times on the zoom. The front display, which we are going to talk about in a lot more depth, is about 5.8 inches. And then if you take a look at the inside display, you're gonna get a 7.6 inch display, which you're gonna be able to rotate and do all kinds of crazy things with. We'll go there in just a minute. And when you fold this thing shut, it's only about a ½ an inch thick. So that is really good for your pocket. And speaking of pocket, 9.9 ounces. So it doesn't weigh a ton, and basically it weighs the exact same as the Galaxy Z Fold 4. So they both come in at about 9.9 ounces, and this has a screen protector. I actually have a Spigen glass fit XR, whatever they call it, but it's basically the Spigen tempered glass screen protector on the front, nothing on the inside. It has a fingerprint sensor. It also has face recognition, and it shoots video up to 4K at 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. So now that we got all that out the way, let's basically jump into the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about on this device. So the first thing I really want to talk about on this Pixel Fold is going to be the build quality. Now, if you look at it, it looks like a very premium device when you're first looking at it, which it really is a premium device. As mentioned up front, you do get a 5.8 inch display on here. Now this one is one of the best features about this whole device is the outer screen and its display. Also, fingerprint scanner, one of the fastest that I've seen to date. Also, the face recognition, super fast as well. Never had an issue with it. And matter of fact, even with the fingerprint scanner, sometimes it just kind of goes a little haywire, and I'll tell you why right now. Because of the placement of these buttons. Volume rockers are down here and fingerprint scanner is right here. So the way my hand naturally lays on this device is my thumb always touches this fingerprint scanner as soon as I pick up the phone. But my volume rockers, I have to readjust my hand when I need to turn volume up and down. So Google, if you're listening, can you put the volume rocker just a little higher? Like, it would be more comfortable for me to go up versus trying to go down and reposition. Every time I reposition, I feel like I'm about to drop this device, and I don't want to drop it. And speaking of dropping devices, you can see that I'm basically rocking this thing naked. Like, I put a couple of cases on it, and these are nice cases, nice and protective, but like, I'm carrying this thing in my pocket. I don't work outdoors. I work in the office. Like, I'm not climbing up things. So I need something that is very slim, very lightweight. I have also ordered a case from Google, directly from them. So their porcelain case, I like the way it looked. I went ahead and ordered it. So hopefully it will be in very shortly, and I'll be able to put something on this thing that's not too big and bulky, so I can actually put it in my pocket. So when you're talking about build on an actual foldable device, the biggest thing is the hinge, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. And this one, I've had no issue with the open and close, and the snap is kind of like, it's kind of quiet on the snap. Now, I will say the only issue I have with this part of the build is when you open it up, you can basically see that it doesn't open like all the way straight. Like, it's a little bend in it, and you can force it open, but I'm scared if I force it open too many times, then it may cause some issues. But when you naturally just open this thing up, there is a slight curvature in that device. It's not all the way straight. So that's one issue that I kind of have. I find myself more so holding it out like a book in front of my face. And then we come to the bezels. So if you can notice right around here, those bezels up top, really thick. On the sides, they're a bit thinner, but for the most part, you do get that really thick bezel around that top and the bottom. And then one of the biggest things I really liked about the build quality on this is when you fold it all the way shut, there is no gap in between. So you can't see down in between there. It's flush. And I like that feature. I like that because on the Samsung Fold devices, we know that there's always been a gap. Now, also the crease. There's going to be a crease no matter what type of foldable you have. So the crease is going to be there. So for everybody who's looking for a foldable that you just do like this and there's no crease, it's probably not going to exist for a while. They can do as much as they can to kind of get rid of it and minimize it, but the crease is going to be there. Now we do know that Samsung is releasing a 5th version of their foldable very shortly. Waiting to see like how user friendly the front display is going to be. The hinge is going to be. Is it going to fold all the way flat? Like, we're waiting to see all that. So I think this comparison will be a better between the Fold 5 and this one versus the Fold 4 and this one, because the form factor on the 4 is way off from this one, like display, everything. So similar phones, they do almost the same thing, but the form factors are way off. And Samsung has had 5 iterations of this device to kind of get it right. This is Google's first try at a foldable device. The other thing we want to talk about is the screen. So I already said that the screen is nice. Like, I like the 5.8 inches on front, and then on the inside you got like 7.6 inches on the inside. When we are talking display, like sometimes this one actually feels like 2 separate displays, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So when I actually take this and I swipe down, it feels like 2 separate displays, and you can see it right here. The other reason I say it feels like 2 separate displays is, let's say I want to take an app and I want to move that application. Well, if I want to resize it to over here on the side, it doesn't resize all the way across. And that's something that Samsung has actually done and gotten right, and you're able to utilize this whole display whenever you're trying to resize your applications and doing different things like that. Also, the customization features. So let's say I want to customize this screen right here, and I want to take my weather widget and move it over here. Now with Samsung, you can actually customize the inner and the outer display totally separate of each other. So if I move this application over here on this screen, I close this up, and then I want to continue using it just like this. Now that app has moved to this front screen and came off the second screen. Let's say I want to move an app out of circulation down here, and I want to put it over here on this display. Well, now when I open this up, you do get a continuation, but that app is way over here. And if I do here, it's gonna come back. Let's get it open back over here. So I don't like the fact that these applications and these widgets are not like customizable between the 2 separate displays. That's one of the other biggest screen issues that I have, or functionality issues that I have. Other than that, this screen is vivid, it's beautiful, it's nice, it's bright, it does everything that you need it to do. The only other thing is, just like any other Pixel device that I've had, the screens are very reflective and they don't allow you to see them really well in the sunshine. Those are the only issues that I have. The PPI is not that high, so you're not gonna get a really good visual like in direct sunlight. Unlike Samsung, which they kind of make it so that we can use these devices directly in the sunlight. Not a knock against Google, that's just something that all their Pixels do. And what would a Pixel be without a Pixel camera? So this next category, we're going to talk about camera, and probably one of my favorite features, because if you've had a foldable before, normally the best camera is not put within the foldable. It's put in the other flagships. But Google has put a really nice camera in this device. I like it a lot. 48 megapixels on the back, and then on the front you got 9 megapixel up top, and then on the inside you actually have an 8 megapixel right up there. So it's a lot of good array of cameras. Like I said, it will shoot video in 4K up to 30 frames per second, as well as 60 frames per second. And then you have one of my favorite features, which is the rear view selfie. So if you double click, open up your camera, it's gonna look a little something like this. Got the camera going, and if we just hit that button, it's gonna tell us to unfold the phone. So if you unfold the phone at this point, now your back becomes your viewfinder, and you can actually get as many people or as many objects and everything in this using the high resolution camera. And once again, you can take video, you can take pictures, you can do everything directly from the back. So I like that feature a lot. Probably one of my favorite features that they've put on this device as far as the camera goes. But I'm not gonna do a whole lot of in-depth camera stuff. Just know that the camera takes really good pictures, really good low light, also really good skin tone. That's all needs to be said. It takes a really good picture. And when it comes down to performance, I really, really like it. Now, I don't play a whole lot of games on my devices, but I will give you just a quick sample of one of the games that I really like to play, which is Asphalt 9. Now, Asphalt 9 is not a graphic intense game, but it's a little heavy on the graphics. I'm gonna actually turn this down some because the speakers are crazy, and it does have really good sound. Just keep that in mind when you're going to purchase this. Sound is really good. You do have speakers going down and speakers on the top, so you'll be able to hear everything in really good stereo sound. So if you're going to play a game, and we'll just look at a little bit of the graphics because I want you to see how this is going to look when you start. I'm just gonna pick a random car and we're going to play. And you can see how reflective that glass is when you're looking at a black background. But this is what you get. And you can see those graphics look really nice. It's really intense. And there we go. We're off. So it's gonna be hard for me to play this like this, but let's try. Right? So you can see right off bat, these graphics are really good. No stuttering, no hesitation, none of that stuff. Everything looks really nice and really pristine, and it's hard for me to play like that. So, but I did want to give you a glimpse at how gaming looks. And with the 12 gigabytes of RAM, I've had no stuttering, no lag, no nothing. And this is probably one of the only games that I play on my device, but it's a really good game to kind of show off the abilities of this folding device. And then we want to talk multitasking, because that's one of the biggest features about one of these folding devices. So let's just say we want to go into that multitasking mode, right? So we're going to just choose an application, random app. We're going to open up Twitter. And one of the things that Twitter is doing is, let's say it's not really optimized for this screen display. So if you tap over here and tap again, it actually rotates those screens. Okay, so you tap, and it pulls it over. But let's say we want to use the multitasking multi-view. So if we pull up, now we're going to hold down and we're going to come over. Now it gives us that split screen that we have all come to love so much. But let's say we don't like Twitter over here, we want Twitter over here. Well, if you double tap in the middle, it actually swaps those screens around. Now that's one of the other features that I kind of like. There is nothing to push on here. You can actually resize back and forward. But once again, if you still want to swap, it swaps in the same shape that you last leave it in. So if we swap again, now Twitter is thin over here, YouTube is big over here. You can still go through these just like you want, just as normal. And then let's say you even want to play a video like this, close that all the way out. Take one of my videos and we are going to just play that one and wait for it to start up. Then we're gonna do this and we're gonna fold this bad boy up just like so. And it actually gives us that dual screen view. Now you gotta kind of keep it up at a 90 degree or the top is gonna be too heavy. But for the most part, this is what you're gonna get. You can still scroll down here, but you're still watching your video right up there. And you see how the screen flips around when you tilt it so far. But this is one of the things that they were talking about when it comes to performance. So you got this tabletop mode where you can actually watch video. And then if you close it up and then you open it from out here, that video will continue on this main screen. And then if you sit it down and you can flip it up just like so, and then watch that video some more. And then if you flip again, you get what they call tent mode. Now tent mode just is what it is. It's like a little tent. You got it sitting up, you can watch it. I don't trust that mode. So I would probably have it like laying down on the back of my case and have my device right here in front of me, doing it that way. And then only a handful of apps are actually optimized for this full screen view. I think they told me it was YouTube Studio, Twitter, Disney Plus, Hulu. It's only like a handful. All the Google apps are optimized for this view, but only a handful, and that is up to developers. So just keep that in mind and take everything with a grain of salt. When you're using Instagram, it is not going to look all the way right. You're gonna have black bars on the side and there is nothing that you can do about it. So just keep that in mind. And hopefully Instagram will come to fruition. Facebook is already right. It looks good. So there's no issue with Facebook. And when you fold it up, there's no app continuation. So just keep that in mind. When you unfold it, you can go to the same thing that you left off on, but when you fold it up, it goes off into that like sleep state, that dormant mode, and it shows you the always on display. And then performance wise, there's no output through a monitor or anything, and there's no stylus. So we knew that. But for the most part, we've been spoiled by Samsung because we do have a stylus, at least that goes with the tablet form of this. And that's how we've been used to using it for the past few years. So what is my final verdict? Well, now I will say from using this thing for a whole week that I have enjoyed using it. The form factor of the screen on the front, the 5.8 inch display, fits really well in the hands. The hinge is a very strong hinge. You can put this thing in almost any position that you want to. The ability to multitask is there. Like, it's not as in-depth as Samsung, but it is there. The functionality of this device, it acts like a tablet, but sometimes it feels like two separate screens on the inside. That's something that I didn't like. Also, the fact that when you open it all the way up, it doesn't open all the way flat. So that's another thing that I did not like. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't discuss is call quality. And I've had a lot of issues with speakerphone calls. And normally if you're talking in this tablet unfolded mode, you're not gonna have it up to your face like this. You are going to have the speakerphone on. And I've had people telling me that I sound muffled. I sound off a little bit, and I have to take it and put it directly up in my face for them to hear it. Now, I'm not sure if that's just my device or if that's every device, but for the most part, I've been enjoying using this with phone calls and everything else. And even with my video calls, I haven't really had a whole lot of issues, but for the most part, I've been using earbuds when I do video calls. But form factor, really good in the hands. Everything lines up, matches up. Screen sizes are on point. The bulkiness with a case on it is not its fault. Graphics, really good. Handles well, no stuttering, no nothing when playing video games, especially with like a lot of flashing lights and stuff like that. The all-around features are there. It just needs to be tweaked just a little bit. I would like to feel like I'm using a full device when I open it up. But like I mentioned, it sometimes I feel like when you go to try to use the full screen, like when we do this app and try to resize it and we pull over and it does not resize that way, I just feel like we're using two separate devices. So if I had any criticism, I would like to see that change. I would like for it to open all the way up. I would like for those bezels to go away some. And I would also like for it to come with some type of stylus, some type of device that we're able to use on the inside, just in case we want to write, take notes, do things of that nature. But for the most part, it is what it is. It's the first version of the Google Pixel Fold. I'm sure next year we will get a second rendition, and hopefully Google will listen to what we have said in this. $1,800, I would say maybe 14, 15 at the most. So the $1,800 price tag, I wouldn't really justify right now. And the reason being is because it still lacks a few of those features and the accessories that some of the other foldables actually do have. So I would say around 1,400 bucks, 1,500 at the most. And I think Google kind of knows this. I'm pretty sure that they'll take all the feedback that we give them and they'll put it to good use and put this thing together in a generation 2. And hopefully next year, this time, we'll be doing the exact same thing with the second generation of the Google Pixel Fold. So hopefully this has been able to help someone out. And until next time, Average Tech Guy out. Peace.